Infiltrate Sartan's camp and find out what this secret mission is all about.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for coming to the first annual audition for membership in our small but elite society of Dreadnoks.
Welcome back to Retro Wednesday at the Tidarium Hangar. This is Mike, and today I want to talk to you about the 1987 G.I. Joe Tricycle. It was really a cool vehicle, one of my favorites as a kid. Don't remember seeing it in the cartoons so much, but it's really an interesting vehicle for a low price point back in the day. Also, they remolded and repainted and, well, recolored it into the Street Fighter Karate Chopper, which I think is really cool. A really cool reuse and remold. There are some differences in the two, and since I don't think this warrants its own review, it's going to piggyback on this. We're going to talk about this. We're going to talk about how it looks in a display compared to all of your other Dreadnought vehicles. Coming up. First off, we're going to talk about the instructions here, and a lot of it is about how to put the thing together. So it does have quite a bit of assembly required for vehicles back in the day. We always did that. I mean, if you bought the ones at Walmart, you can see that on the back. We have some specs to it and all of that good stuff. Reinforced aluminum alloy deflector shields and all that good stuff. So I guess we have technical terms for everything that's on this. We're going to talk about this guy. So before we get into all of the different features and functions of this thing, I do want to say that overall I like the way it looks. And the reason I like the way it looks, and as a kid I liked the way it looked, because the colors were pretty cool. See, it's not into the quite G.I. Joe neon of the 90s just yet, but you did get some color breakup and color variation. First off, you got the base motorcycle, which is black, which actually would have been a nice touch if they had some silver paint and highlights and stuff on it, but they didn't really quite do that back then. We have the purple here, and then we have green here and for the seat. And then for the red, we have the handlebars, the mount, missile, the exhaust, and then the shields here. And then the tires, or the wheels, which are solid, are a charcoal gray. So many different, 6 different colors, color breakup, makes it look visually interesting. Also, with the stickers on this thing, it's also very nice to have a Cobra symbol. Even though it's a Dreadnought vehicle, it doesn't have a Dreadnought there. It still has a Cobra on it. They do operate independently from Cobra. They are just hired mercenaries, but we have some danger blasts, some numbers. But on the back, I do want to point out that is where you do get the full money shot of the Dreadnought. Dreadnought? Yeah, Dreadnought. Yeah, it is Dreadnought. The Dreadnought symbol. But I just like the color breakup and all that. But let's look at all of these features. Looking at the features, we have reinforced aluminum alloy deflector shields. We have a 360-degree rotation gun seat, and it does rotate 360 degrees. It has right here what they call the box section transaxle support members. Super slick, puncture-proof rear tire. They are puncture-proof. Located down below here, they have what's called the WAM, or the Wide Area Anti-Armor Missile Laser Guided Missile. This little bit of detail right in here behind that missile, that's what they call the liquid-cooled DOHC-16 valve engine. Right here by Road Pig's leg, that is the self-adjusting hydraulic clutch on this bad boy. The gun itself is actually called the Blazing Shock Dampening 106 millimeter, I guess that's millimeter, recoilless rifle. And also, it's got 2 handles. And they're at different angles, so I guess you can hold it depending on what angle you want to hold it. That's interesting, or maybe it's just showing that it's really worn and beat up. This little part right here is kind of like a tank. They call this the layered composite shell, or a polysac fuel cell. Fuel tank. This part here is called the front fairing, the frame-mounted front fairing. Just below that, they have what they call the air adjustable rebound dampening shocks right here. This area right here is what they call the San Fran style chopper front fork. So interesting style on how they house that wheel. They also show the brake system and talk about it. They call it the dual disc anti-drive front brake system. And then they call this the aluminum alloy 16-inch front wheel. So that's a 16-inch, so I'm wondering how big the rear one was. It looks about the same size, just maybe bigger tires. And then the V-rated 48 series puncture-proof front tire. Well, it's puncture proof because it's not made of rubber. So I figured I'd do a fun little montage of just kind of a rundown of what's going on. What they didn't touch on in this was the exhaust, and here is the exhaust, which is cool. Also has a foot pedal right here, and sometimes those get broken off. I've seen several of them on eBay where the pedals are broken off, or it's missing the rear exhaust, or the blast shield, or the missiles, or something like that. So if you're looking at these on eBay, these parts, some of these are kind of harder to get, but overall, you can just get a complete one. That's probably the easiest way to go, because piecing together one, I mean, you can still piece one together, but it's still kind of fun. Even if it's not 100% complete, it still looks really cool as a vehicle. So I do want to talk about a few things with this, because first off, you do have how the front moves. It's not really connected to anything, so the steering wheel doesn't turn it, or the handlebars don't turn it, but it can give this really nice look that it's parked, or you can show it's driving, or of course you're doing a Papa Wheelie. But the fact that it moves like that is really cool, so you can kind of park it like that. And I think that's a really interesting look to it. Also with this, we're going to pull Road Pig off here for a second. And looking at the seat is interesting too. It's kind of a green seat. It looks like it's just interesting. And it's one of those things that I've kind of always kind of seen this seat. I've known about it. And I thought, like, where's the rest of it? It's weird, but it's still kind of cool how they did it. But it feels like it's missing the bottom because it's just weird. But it's a design thing. And then when you get into this turret and it's rotating and all this kind of stuff, I just think that's so slick how they did that. But oddly enough, because it's a tricycle, there's no other places that you could clip people on. For whatever reason, I was thinking there were pegs right here to clip people on, like other Dreadnoks, but there really are not. So that was kind of a misnomer on my behalf till I got my hands on one again, and I'm finding that out now. So let's do some comparison here. We can kind of see how it blends in with all of the other Dreadnought vehicles. Well, we've got the Swamp Fire over here. We've got Zanzibar and his Zanzibar Air Chariot over here. And then we've got the Thunder Machine. And I had all three of these back in the day. Obviously, they were a lower price point. But I never had the Thunder Machine. And it came out around the same time. So maybe the Thunder Machine might have even come out first. But still, if you look at this, they all sort of blend in real well. They all still kind of had that Mad Max vibe theme going to it. Well, these two maybe not. I mean, they're really Air Chariot kind of stuff, the Swamp Fire and all that. But still, looking at them, it's interesting how they kind of blend in. Now, I do want to show, like, we have a green, but it's not the same green. And this green doesn't match any of the other greens. That blue doesn't match really any of this blue. And in my mind, I would think it would all sort of match. It's all slightly different, which is actually interesting in a way that they didn't just copy all of those colors. So you have it to where they look like a cohesive kind of a group, but they're all different in some way, shape, or form. So more and more like Mad Max. My Zorana is really loose. I don't know if anyone else has that problem, but maybe I need a better one. All right, now on to the 1994 Street Fighter Karate Chopper, which is such a clever name. It is so cool they came up with that name. Now, I gotta say that all this time collecting in the past, over 20-something years, every time I saw the Street Fighter stuff, it was always really cheap. Like, it was cheaper than the G.I. Joe counterpart that it was based on or based off of. And same thing with the Mortal Kombat stuff. But nowadays, I think that the tide has shifted because there are less of these that were produced than G.I. Joe. G.I. Joe's produced in massive quantities, and this is much, much smaller quantities because, of course, they didn't really think the demand would be there as heavy. Now, it was based on, of course, a very popular video game, but nowhere in there did we have this chopper. But we did have these figures, so if you guys are interested in this, I'm trying to get at least one of each character, and then I can do a video showcasing each character, but maybe not every variation of the characters. So I do have Guile, or later on they called him Charlie, and then we have, Guile. This guy's Blanca. I drew a Blanca for a second there. Anyway, looking at this, it is different because it has a different color scheme and some of the parts are remolded. But what is the same is the fact that they have these shields that are now kind of a charcoal black. It's actually charcoal gray. It's not black because you see the difference in the color between that and the black gun itself. And the little seat he sits in is white. In the other one, I didn't really show it, but it is green. The seats are all green on there. And then this also has some different recolor for the red right here, white, charcoal, black on the actual tires. You could kit bash and make yourself a whole different version of the tricycle if you wanted to, just using these parts, but I wouldn't advise doing that. It seems kind of a bit of a waste. So now getting into this, that does have some cool, interesting stuff. First, there's a little sticker here, and it's so bright lights, and the sticker's shiny, but it says Turbo on it. And then in the front, it does say Street Fighter, which my sticker's a bit beat up. There's another Street Fighter sticker over here. It does say watch your step right there. You do have missiles right here, which are different than the ones, and they're mounted different on the side. You also have this big giant gun cannon, which is different, and it mounts different, and you can't swap this part. This part can't be swapped at all, so it is a different type of a cannon. Really cool looking, though. Now, I want to get into side by side, and then we'll show a couple of the features, and then we'll move on to the display of everything. So side by side, you see how this missile's mounted on the side, this missile's mounted down below. And it's also interesting because the missiles mount there and they fire. So it's something that didn't happen. They had to improve it. Like as time goes by, you need to make some improvements. So let's go ahead and fire this missile. And the funny thing is that it's actually rather hard to find one of these. Oh, that went flying. One of these karate choppers, but you can find the missiles all over the place for like dirt cheap, so lucky me. So I got a few extras in case. Okay, I know I lost that one. That thing went way over there. Anyhow, I got some extra ones just in case, and now I'm glad I did. But anyhow, it only comes with 2, so I still like it looking good. I think it looks better with 3, and I think it should have come with 3, so you can have one in the actual gun itself, and you can have one right here. But looking at it, you see how this is different than this one. You cannot actually swap apart because they're just designed different. It's a different design. It is what it is. Now, the other things that are different, the exhaust are a different color. And I didn't go into it in the other one. That fell off. But if you swap the exhaust, like they're left and right. So the way this one's positioned, you see how that sticks up higher? They have them on different than I have on mine. So I don't know which one's right. Should they stick up higher or should they stick lower? Like on this one's lower, this one's higher. So anyhow, if you swap them around, you're going to have one high, one low, or if you try to use 2 of the same or whatever. So with that, they are, for both of these vehicles, a left and a right on the exhaust. I thought that was a misnomer till I got one in hand, and I was like, yeah, that's definitely true. But anyway, I think it's really cool to have a red cycle, and you can mix and match and add it to your display, but I'm actually not going to keep it in the display. I'm actually going to work on a Street Fighter display. So let's look at the actual Dreadnought display. Alright, real quick, going into shaky cam, I'm showing the display and kind of how I displayed these, and one of the things I really wanted to do with this display was to show everything Dreadnought in one space to look cohesive, like they're all just kind of chilling and chatting or just hanging out before they go battle. And yeah, I have a couple of doubles in there because I have some that are just hanging off of the vehicles and some that are displayed with all their weapons and accessories. So like some are not complete, some are, and I think it's kind of fun with that. I'm still not 100% on Dreadnought, so I might have to finish this out and add like Rawhide and a couple other ones to it. But I did kind of put some waterfall in the back and repeated it down here, which I think is a whole lot of fun. And then down here we have kind of swamp that it's kind of waterfall went into the swamp, and that was my idea with that. And then of course we have some more swamp stuff here and some forest right there and a lot of stuff. It's just kind of, your imagination is unlimited, so your ability to do stuff like this is unlimited. Now get down here, I do want to showcase, since I do use the Mad Max in my Mad Max display, I use the Thunder Machine, so I have a spare Thunder Machine for that, and I think that worked out pretty good, and it looks kind of like a desert scene. So this, to me, I feel like the Dreadnoughts and Mad Max all go together hand in hand, one-on-one, so looks like a whole lot of fun. These figures, I really would like another company to take a stab at Mad Max, but from the Mad Max video, I really hear most people are saying we'll never get it again, but hopefully I can give you some ideas for displays here. Okay, so this has been my look at the G.I. Joe tricycle, and it's from 1987, and also the 1994 Street Fighter G.I. Joe Street Fighter Karate Chopper, and yes, I found my missile, so you don't have to lose your sleep tonight. I did find my missile. So it's really cool. It's a fun vehicle for back in the day, and it's still relatively affordable in the world of G.I. Joe. And what you get out of it is a really looking tricycle, a trike, a chopper bike that you are actually going to be able to display with your Dreadnoughts. It looks really cool, and I hope you liked the way my display worked out, and maybe it gave you some ideas. But let me know what you think about these vehicles. Do you have either one? Did you have one as a kid? Do you even remember them? Or is this the first time you're ever seeing them? I like those kind of comments down below. Like and subscribe. Hanger out.
That's what you think, fat stuff.
Start auditioning!
Hope your insurance is paid up, sucker!
You stun grenades! That's cheating!
Of course it's cheating, you nick. What did you expect? Sportsmanship?